What's up, everybody? It's me, it's Serge Bogosian, the owner of the Mustangs, and with your daily, semi-daily, weekly, whatever it is that we're calling this, AHL update and views that I have going forward. It's getting a little dark here. It's already almost just 5 o'clock here on a Friday. I'm going to be going down to Valencia in a little bit. We got a big hockey tournament this weekend, but just thought I'd get this video out before it gets dark. So what's happened the last few days? We've played my favorite number of games, 22. Rick Vive's old number, 22 games into the season, and the Mustangs find themselves 7 points clear of first place. The Canadian Gothic and the Underdogs with 22 points. The Cheap Thieves with 20, and like we said, the Steelheads. We're going to talk a few things here. What's going on? We have done the updates before, but a couple of things I want to discuss is what's wrong with the Canadian Gothic. And then I want to talk about my views on rental players, how that's gone on this year and what's going to happen going forward. And then I want to touch a little bit about these fancy stats and schmancy stats that these guys bring up. And proof was in the pudding last night because I put up 7.5 goals. And my fancy stats, I went from like 12th overall and plus minus. Now I believe I'm like 6th or 7th just because of that one night. That proves to you the fancy stats don't mean a lot, even though my team is probably the best team in the league, and it will prove it. So what's wrong with the Canadian Gothic? The Canadian Gothic went into this season thinking they're going to roll over the East Division because the Underdogs coming off a championship year. They lost a lot of their players. Cheap Thieves are in obviously self-admittedly rebuilding year, retooling year, where they drafted Jack Hughes and they're going to wait till they compete when he gets, in a couple of years. I think next year is his window. He wants to start competing. And then the Steelheads, we knew they were going to be last because they're the Steelheads. No offense to Chris, but he thought that he was going to come into the season that he was going to walk over me, but he really did underestimate me. He didn't realize the players that I picked up in the free agent draft, plus the trades that I was capable of making. And right now, I have a juggernaut. I have a team that's running on all cylinders. We're hot. We're stayed injury-free relatively. A couple of small injuries. Alex Steen is out. Nikita Zadarov, the Giant, is out. But our key players, we added Burns, who we believe is Burns and Giordano, who we believe are two of the top 5 offensive defensemen in the pool. We added Patrick Kane, who got 100 points last year. We added the most coveted free agent in the actual NHL from last year, Artemi Panarin, who is having a phenomenal year in a trade. Now, the first moves, the Burns, the Kane, and Giordano, those are 1-year players. However, the Panarin move I made is a 3-year move. It's going to be great. He's on pace to score 80-90 points. I have him slated at 92 points for the year. He's going to have a phenomenal year and going forward with the New York Rangers. So this guy underestimated us, and he didn't make many moves. He hasn't yet. Anyways, he has a lot of cap space. That's the one thing that worries me. He's at about $53 to $54 in cap space. So he can add a lot of these guys, and it's going to lead into my next topic, the rental players. But I'm not really worried about the Underdogs because the Underdogs they don't have an overall good team. With Tarasenko out, it really hurts them. He finds these players that somehow manage to overperform, but I'm not really worried about him. I'll be honest, I'm worried about the Gothic all year. He's my main competition. I want him to go down. I want him to hurt. I want him to have pain in the pool sense, not in real life. In real life, Dale's a great guy. But in the pool sense, I want him to feel the pain and the wrath of what I'm going to be providing him. Right now, 7 points is a lot of points, I'm very happy with that. Obviously, we're going to go through our ups and downs, and hopefully we made a bet. We're not going to lose more than 2 games in a row this year. And if I keep to that, if I don't lose more than 2 games in a row, and I win the key games that I need to win in the division rivalry games, especially the ones against him, I don't think I could be caught. I don't think Daniel's going to be up there. And like I said, I don't think JP is going to be competing. So it's going to be between me and him. His team is been consistent. He does have some good players, but he doesn't have the game breakers like I have. You know, he doesn't have a guy like Kane and Burns and Giordano and Panarin and all these other guys. And I don't think, while he is a little more consistent, he doesn't have the bottom end guys. Like last night's a perfect example. I had a decision to make between McCann, Jenner, Donskoy, and Sissons, and I'm like, what am I gonna do? So I put in Donskoy, and in the early game, McCann goes out and scores a goal and 2 assists. Go damn! But you know what? Donskoy scored a hat trick. Why did he score a hat trick? Because I know, you know, all these analytical spreadsheet guys, they look at points scored, but I don't look at that. I look at the fact that Donskoy, and I know these guys think they look at stuff like this, but they don't even know the difference between their left and right thumb sometimes. I look at it where Donskoy is playing with McKinnon on the top line, and when you're playing with one of the greatest players in the world, you're going to get residual goals from that, and he did, and he got a hat trick. And that's why I am such a smart manager. Am I joking? Maybe I am, maybe I'm not. So, next topic I want to discuss is these rental player trades. The big ones have been, well, the big one, I have made a couple of these. I traded for Claude Giroux, who I think he's contributed a lot. He's actually won me a couple of games. He's scoring a lot more than he was scoring for Big M's. I did give away some future draft picks. And then the big one actually is the Ovechkin trade. The Ovechkin trade that the Magically Delicious got is probably the worst trade in the history of hockey in our pool. Not only that, he's not even a contender. This guy was proven last night. He scored 3 goals against me, but you know what? He doesn't have a deep team. He has Crosby, Ovechkin, and I guess he has Kuznetsov. Crosby, Ovechkin. Is it Kuznetsov or Backstrom? One of those other guys. Anyway, I can look it up here. Crosby, Ovechkin, Stamkos. Okay, so Crosby, Ovechkin, Stamkos, Jonathan Taves, Jeff Skinner, Nicholas Backstrom. This is his team. This is his top forwards. But on the defensive end, who does he have? The beloved Cody Ceci, Neil Pionk, Brendan Dillon, Derek Engelland, Zach Bogosian, Scott Mayfield, guys that cannot score. And then he has like terrible goaltenders. He's got the Rangers. At one point, he had like Ottawa, who was a disgusting team. Philadelphia and Buffalo. This is not a good team. So what's he going to do now? He's got all these high-priced free agents. He thinks he's going for it, but what's going to happen when he realizes he's not going to make the playoffs? He's going to have to dump these guys, and is he going to get what he thinks he's going to get? Not from me, because I don't want that clown to succeed this year or even going forward. So he's made a lot of mistakes. These rental players trades don't necessarily work. They only work if you're already a contender in the true sense. When you got the core guys like I picked up in free agency, you can add to them with a couple of trades. Like, I would have liked to get Ovechkin, but however, it didn't work out. I made an offer. It wasn't good enough, obviously. Chris got a lot more than what I would have offered him. But I think this guy is not a very smart manager, and he basically threw his season away. Again, like I said, but it does work in a case like someone like Dale. If he was to go and acquire Stamkos and Ovechkin, it's going to be very scary for my team, and I hope it doesn't happen. I'm really worried about that part as well. So that's basically how I feel about those trades. The one other thing I wanted to touch on was our friend John Broadway. His name's not John Broadway, but he's John from Broadway. Wanted to touch on his team. His team is very meh. You don't hate him because he's not a villain like a lot of these guys like Arp and Zach and Dale. He's not a villain. You don't hate him. He's a good guy. We hung out a little bit in Toronto. I really like him as a person and as a hockey mind. But he's, like I said, his team is very meh. His record is 11-10-1. He has 23 points. He's in one of those positions where he can finish second in the division and not make the playoffs because he's in that Tiger Williams conference where that North Division is a beast. So, his goals for plus minus is 41, which again is meh, like middle of the pack. And some of his players are meh. Like, if you look at it, who does Broadway have as his top guys? You know, he's paying guys like Evgeny Kuznetsov, the cokehead, Matt Duchene, Torrey Krug, great defenseman, JVR, Tyler Seguin, Dougie Hamilton having a great year, Keith Yangel, he's a beast, not a big deal. Cam Atkinson, Getzlaff, Niskanen. Like I said, his team is very meh. It's not a very exciting team. He gets the job done, but I can see him going either way. We don't hate him. We don't love him. We just think he's very meh in this league. So it'll be interesting to see how Broadway shapes up and how it turns out. One last thing I want to touch on is we had a little bit of a discussion with these clowns about how they all get pissed off. And I know I'm looking at you guys like you're always getting pissed off, okay? That your player is scoring on non-game nights. How is that a bad thing? Especially if that guy's not Ovechkin or Crosby or Kane. If it's a mediocre guy, especially a guy fighting for ice time, a third line, fourth line player, if he scores on a non-game night, that's great. It means that the team is going to be more happy with him. They're going to use him more. They're going to give him more ice time. And not only that, when a guy like that scores goals, you can go to owner X and say, look, owner X, my guy just scored 2 goals last night. What do you think? Let's make a trade. And that's how I ended up with Donskoy, because Sorensen had a very good day. And I saw Donskoy have a very good day. And I said, Brian, look, I know Donskoy scored a couple of goals, but look at Sorensen. He scored a couple of goals too. Let's make the trade. Now, those goals don't have to come on game nights. Those goals can come on any night. And if specifically for players that are on the bottom end, for top 4 defensemen or third line wingers or third line guys, it's an amazing thing if your player scores a goal. And we're in a league where all these guys don't miss anything. If a guy gets an assist that you've never heard of, the first thing you do, who's this guy? You go to the website, you search the name and see if he's available, to see if you want to allot some $5 for him on Sunday afternoon. That's just the way it is. And these guys, like most of you guys are like this. Oh man, my guy just scored 2 goals tonight. That's awesome. Yeah, it doesn't count for the pool, but theoretically it does. So use your brains. Don't just work with the spreadsheet guys. You know, the spreadsheet guys are all one track minded. One track minded is what I want to show. Anyways, this has been a little quick update. It's going to be a tough weekend for us. We have a couple of big games coming up on Saturday and Sunday. We hope to come up on top. Couple of good lineups we're facing, couple of good teams. I believe Puck Warfare and Winning Combination, I believe, right? I'm not sure. Anyways, just before we go, I want to show you something here. This is the Vegas Golden Knights wine. 2016 Cabernet Sauvignon. Now, how can you have a Vegas Golden Knights 2016 wine when they were not playing in 2016? Some things that are weird. But we got the wine. Speaking of the Golden Knights, we crushed them last night. Yeah, we beat them in overtime. It seems like it was a close game, but we crushed their souls. They came into Toronto. We kicked their ass. We're going to go over to Vegas next week. We're going to kick their ass over there. The Vegas Golden Knights have nothing on us. We're the Toronto Maple Leafs, Leafs Nation, #1 nation in the world. That's all I can say right now. This is Serge Bogosian. I am the Armenian Don Cherry. I am the hockey guru. And amongst other things, I'm the first place Mustangs of the Alternative Hockey League, coming to you on a Friday afternoon. We'll be back over on probably Sunday night with a wrap-up of the weekend. Hopefully we'll still be 7 points ahead of the Clowns in our division. We just want to wish everyone have a great weekend, have a safe weekend, and enjoy the festivities. We love you guys.